Today, a great saint has defined life as living in freedom forever. This is very beautiful. I love it. I'm sure you too do. But on the flip side, I also heard that great saying. Life is time and time is life. Now, the way the saint has defined life as living in freedom forever, I have also expanded that word time, interestingly, and I do a program on this, a one-day time management program where I have expanded the word time as tasks I manage effectively. Now, feel these two words. If life is defined as living in freedom forever, and time is defined as tasks I manage effectively, there is a characteristic anomaly between the two words, isn't it? Time does not allow you to be free. Time tries to bind you, control your life. Or there are two kinds of time. One time is no time, because God has not created any time. It's a timeless space, they say. But there is another time, clock time. It's very, very important, clock time. Now, while serenely somewhere in our mind, we must know that there is nothing known as time in this world. There is no time in God's world. There is only a system. And we define that system as time. The sun rises every morning and sets every evening. And we have formatted it as time, but that's primarily a system. Today, this talk is about time management. And as I love all my talks to be related with my own life's experience, how I learned time management and the value of it firsthand is something which we're going to discuss and share with you. Mind you, this is not teaching, this is just sharing. Had it been teaching, I would read a book on time management, created a PowerPoint and give you a presentation. I'm not doing that. I generally love talking firsthand and sharing firsthand experience, and people love it. When people relate my speech with the real life experience, they learn, right? So let me share one of my experiences of life. Okay. Now this was way back in 1983. You know something? In 1983, I changed my job. I worked in a small pharmaceutical company, initially as an area manager, later promoted as a divisional manager, and at that time I was younger and I was very ambitious. I was really looking for a great breakthrough. And I got a good break. I got a break in a company, in a group called UB Group, which does not make us very proud today, but at that time UB Group was a very, very powerful group and people used to really look for a job there. I was selected in a sales manager in one of the companies, pharmaceutical companies after the group. I was very happy. It was a stern selection process and I penetrated it and then got the job of a sales manager. First time I got a swanky air-conditioned chamber in a beautiful office in Kolkata. And I proudly used to drive my car and go to the office there. Those days salaries was not very high, right? You will be surprised. My salary was only 5,000 rupees. But that was a big deal in 1983. I got that job. Okay, let me explain to you what happened. When I got the job and I got swanky office, I thought, well, I'm a great fellow. And I was selected by one of the senior officers in the UB Group. I had two bosses. One is a local boss who was the administrative head of the pharmaceutical company which employed me. And the second was the group officer who is to control the group activity. So I was technically, indirectly reporting to him also. Now, the name of the gentleman who was the group officer, his name is P.N. Venugopal. He was a bachelor, very handsome South Indian gentleman. He used to wear white suit and he took my interview and he selected me And he said that you got a great future in the organization. I happily joined the company with all my past paradigms. I sat down in the office, and just in a week's time, my honeymoon was over. You know what happened? Mr. P. N. Venugopal was coming from Bombay. His headquarters was Bombay. At that time, the UB headquarters was in Bombay. Later on, it shifted to Bangalore. So he came from Bombay, and morning 10 o'clock, right, he was there in the office. And I was in my chamber. I got an intercom call, and I picked up the phone, and it was Venugopal on the other side. He said, Ashit, can you pop in for a while? Well, I said, yes, sir. I went over to his chamber. He was sitting down, and the first thing he said, looking at me, Ashit, I didn't see you in the airport. I thought you will come to receive me. I was shocked hearing that expression. I never expected anyone to tell me that I was to receive someone in the airport. That was not a rule. That was not a contract of my appointment. My ego was burning inside, and I was a much younger man. And the young days, I used to play boxing. You know, I got so angry, I thought I shall throw my right over his face. But, you know, it was a big job. I had to restrain myself. I could not be unwise. I just politely replied to him. I never knew that I had to be in the airport. If I knew, I would come. Well, that was too polite of me. I never wanted to say that. But I said it intelligently in order to secure a new job. Mr. Venugopal said, okay, but now you know it. Every time I come here, I want to see you in the airport. Now you can go. Was he eccentric? I was shocked. Was this the reason he called me? Am I an officer of the company? Am I a sales manager or someone's servant? I came back and I was burning inside. My heart was burning. And my blood was flowing very fast. And I was a hot-headed guy. I wanted to do something. But once again I calmed myself down because I am a manager. UB Group is a big group. I cannot afford to be impulsive. So I held myself. I sat down. I reduced the temperature of the air conditioner to cool me down a little more. And then after a little while, just about half an hour passed, once again I received an intercom message. I picked up the phone. It was Mr. Venugopal and said, Ashit, can you pop in for a while? Now this time I felt a little nervousness in my feet, and then I went and I stood there. And Mr. Venugopal looked at me and he opened his wristwatch and kept the wristwatch in front of him, and he said like this, Ashit, I exactly got 5 minutes time. Can you give me a presentation on the work you have done about the marketing strategies of the new products? But I have got 5 minutes only. I don't have time. I was not prepared. I had no presentations ready. I only casually worked. If I knew that I had to give a presentation, I would have done something. I did nothing. I said, I never knew that I had to give a presentation to you. If I knew it, I would have prepared it. And my marketing strategy work is going on. It is not yet ready. Ashit, I don't expect this from you. Next time, be absolutely prepared. Whenever you are coming to meet me, be prepared to answer everything related to your job. Keep things on your nail tips. You are the sales manager of the company. Once again, my blood boiled. I felt like using my left hook this time. I was good in both the hooks. Okay? But anyway, it was United Breweries and I was the sales manager. I needed to protect the job, so I silently came back. Whole day I had my head down, my productivity was zero. I hated myself for joining the company. My small organization, pharmaceutical company, where I was a divisional manager, I used to sit in a depot. There was no chamber. I only had a table and a chair. I felt more free. I remember that story I read in the books. There was a dog, pet dog in the house, and there was a dog outside on the road. Both had conversation. The road outside said, hey, you are a bonded labor. You got a chain in your neck. I'm so free. The dog in the house says, oh, you don't have as good food as I have here. You eat food in the dustbin. But the dog outside said, but I'm free. I can eat from anywhere, but you got to eat the food which your boss gives you. I exactly remember the story, and I felt like that home dog and wanted to be the free dog, a stray dog on the road. That was much better. And while the whole day spent off, right at 4 o'clock, I receive another buzz. I pick up the phone. It was Venugopal once again. Now I was verbally nervous. He said, Ashit, can you pop in for a while? Well, I popped in for a while again, but this time he said, have you packed up? You're going to see me off in the airport. I said, nonsense. I felt like using both my hands. There was no formal both hook, but I should improvise it and give it one punch to make him knock out. But I restrained once again. After all, it was United Breweries and I was the sales manager. It was a big company. I needed to protect my job and the family. So I kept mum. I said, all right, I'm ready. So I packed up my briefcase, came down. The administrative officer and organized a swanky big car because Venugopal was a very senior officer from the group. And it was a white car. And as I came down, I found Venugopal already standing in front of the car. The chauffeur opened the door and Venugopal went inside on the other side, and I sat on this side of the back seat and the car started. Now listen my first-hand learning, give me all your attention. The car started and Mr. Venugopal from the other corner was smiling and looked at me. He looked a little more sober than how he behaved for the whole day. He said, I see the young man very angry. Now this word made me not only calm down, I had some tears in my eyes. What happens when someone really beats you throughout the day, then gives you some word of comfort? Don't you feel like crying? I exactly felt like that. And then Venugopal was very sweet. He said, Ashit, give me a few answers of my question. What is the drive time from here to from our office to the airport? I said, at least 40 minutes. Okay. Now, which means if you came to the airport in the morning, we would have got 40 minutes to talk, right? And on the way back, we'll get another 40 minutes to talk. I come only for a day. Only for a day in a fortnight. My time is very precious. Now, what is your salary? I mentioned my salary. What are your perks? Now, calculate the perks very fast in terms of money. I calculated my money and then multiplied by 12 as instructed by him. So I got my yearly salary. Then I said divide by 365. That's your salary per day. That's what Mr. Vijay Mallya is spending after you, right? And then he said, would you like to know my salary? I said, well, I'm not very curious. But he said his salary. It was perhaps 12 times more than me. And then he calculated his salary into 12, calculated was out, and then he divided by 365 his one-day salary. He said, Ashit, do you agree that my one-day cost is much higher than yours? I said, yes, sir, I agree. So my 1 hour cost is much higher than yours, right? I am paid for that hour by Vijay Mallya, and you are paid for that hour by Vijay Mallya. I don't need a piece of garland for you, with you to receive me in the airport. I want to talk to you. You are a very important person in the organization. Whole day I will be busy. I will not have any time. I am giving my precious personal time to you. You will come and receive me. We'll travel together. In 40 minutes we'll discuss the plan. I will give you certain things to do. And in the next 40 minutes you will give me the report. I'll go back happy. And I'll go and tell Vijay, I'm doing a good job. That's my career. He will be happy. I felt like falling in his feet. First time I had a time management lesson firsthand in my life. First time I knew how to calculate the time hours. And then much later in life when I became a management trainer, I learned many beautiful things. And I learned internationally these days, people don't have time. They don't have physical appointments. They have telephonic appointments. John's secretary will fix up an appointment with Peter's secretary. John is available on Wednesday, 3 p.m. in the afternoon for 15 minutes on the phone. And Peter's secretary accords the time and the appointment is set because people don't have time to spend on the road. And then I learned the great saying, why? Time is not only life, time is money. Time is money. Next time, when you see people wasting their time, don't tell them, why are you wasting time? You can even say, why are you wasting money? Next time you see people wasting time, you can tell them, hey, why are you wasting life? Because time is life. You were born on a day and you are dead on a day. What did you cover in the meanwhile? Time, isn't it? And if you waste 5 years doing nothing, your black hairs become gray and you didn't learn swimming. You wasted those 5 years. Isn't it? Time is a very important thing. Very, very important thing. I will tell you another story and I'm pretty sure you will love it. Very good story. How many of you heard that saying, the teaching time saves 9? This is a story of 9 miners. 1 supervisor, 8 miners. In Germany, not a story, this is a real incident. These 9 miners were trapped inside a mine. Because there was no way out, something wrong happened. And the oxygen measurement in the mine told that they can survive only for 6 hours. And the connections with the supervisor, with the external security, informed the supervisor and all other miners that they cannot arrive before 9 hours to save them, which means they are dying. There is no way out. Now the supervisor said, don't worry, miracle will happen. And he's the only person who had a wristwatch. What the supervisor did, when it was 1 hour, he said 45 minutes only. And he kept on saving 15 minutes. Nobody had a wristwatch. They trusted their supervisor. The security team entered after 9 years and saved all the 9 people. A teaching time saves 9. So once you focus on the clock time, it will save your life. And you know some great benefits, great payoffs of keeping time and becoming punctual. People say, give me some tips about how to develop a good personality. I said, keep time. Be punctual. Now, what punctuality has with personality development? I said, everything. Let me tell you, if you keep time, people will like you. People will remember you. And then you will become their role model. Automatically, you will be the center of attraction. So, ladies and gentlemen, my time management presentation is once again from the real life. Remember one thing, actually there is nothing known as time. It's a timeless universe. It's a timeless space. But in the practical life, there is something known as a clock. And teaching time saves 9. So follow the clock sincerely. Respect other people's time. Winston Churchill was late only once in his life, 15 minutes. And the reporter changed the question to make their story for the next day. They asked Mr. Churchill, smoking cigar. Mr. Churchill used to smoke cigar. Reporters chased him to say, Mr. Churchill, why are you late today? Churchill stopped for a second and answered, that's a silly question. I'm late because I started late. We don't say that. We often say it's because of the flat tire, or because of the jam on the road. Next time don't do that. Because had it been an airport and you are flying to Mauritius on a holiday, you won't be late, right? You could be late in a meeting, but not for your holiday. So when you want to be in time, you are always in time. So make a point to be in time, and teaching time saves 9. Time is life. Time is money. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.